Hello everybody, this is Conquering History Games, and I hope you all are having a nice Black Friday. I actually live next to a mall, so I'm just kind of barricaded in right now, hoping not to get killed. And I was going to do the Q&A session today, and I was just going to kind of, in a relaxing way, play a little bit of Stellaris while I did it. I'm not super good at Stellaris. I know just some of the basic things. I honestly, I play Stellaris to relax sometimes. So we're just going to be doing. I'm just going to have that going on in the background, so there would be something happening while I, go over these questions. So these are questions submitted to me through YouTube, through direct messages, through through Discord, etc., etc., etc. So we're gonna survey this whole area. Wait, what's going on? There we go. I don't know why it wasn't clicking. So I have in my second monitor, I have the list of things opened up, and I'm just going to be scrolling down it on the right, and I don't think it's going to be clicking out when I do that. So yeah, this is just going to be a super informal video. Which one's the engineering facility? Right. And unpause. We're just going to go to slow speed here. Most of these questions are about Hearts of Iron 4, but there are a few that are not. Let's see. Let's get another science ship going. Maybe even two. How's my... I have a fair amount of... Yeah, we'll get two more science ships going. We are going to be doing lots of exploring. Maybe we'll speed it up a little bit. Okay, so first question. Will I do more Road to 56 campaign? Also, if you hear any crinkling paper, I've written down some that people sent me directly or that aren't listed in the Discord questions I've been asked. So that's what that paper crinkling is. Construction. Now we'll just let things explore for a bit. So, first off, will you do more Road to 56 campaigns? That is tough to say. I don't know if I would record another one for the channel. I did enjoy the Republic of China playthrough. Maybe I could play another one just to compare it to another country in the baseline game, but I have heard quite often that it's it's pretty unbalanced. Oh, we have an anomaly here. I love to research anomalies. And we have a new science ship.
Construction project concluded.
Requires a scientist. Right. So Road to 56, I've always heard it's very unbalanced, like how I've heard that Mexico can just start running wild on people. Let's see, research speed. These are all kind of good. There we go. Great. So I don't know. I don't think so. I would not count on doing any more Road to 56 mods for the channel. I might do it in my own personal time. Next question. This one's from Carl Zero. Favorite Hearts of Iron 4 mod excluding Kaiserreich? Favorite one. I haven't thought too much about these. Actually, there's some of these. Some of these questions I noticed, and I think I spent too much time thinking about them. But they are there. They are there. My favorite Hearts of Iron 4 mod. I like the zombie stuff, actually, like Infection. It's a simple concept, but I think it's funny. I assume that you're talking about full-blown alternate history mods. You know what? I would say In the Name of the Tsar. But In the Name of the Tsar, I think misses out on a lot of its possible potential, which is a real shame. We have discovered alien life. In the Name of the Tsar is an alternate history mod where basically Russia is responsible for winning World War I in, I think, 1917. It's really interesting. Like, some of the major players are, for example, of course, Russia is still under the Tsar, but they're still a little bit technologically backwards, and you can kind of turn them into a world power, though, relatively easily. Germany has also been split up into several smaller countries. Massive storms. So research it. Germany has been split up into several small countries. So there's like the Bavarian Commune in the south of Germany, and there's Prussia, which is still underneath the Kaiser. And one of the things that are happening in Germany is basically the Commune begins to take over the rest of the smaller German countries, and becomes they become the main communist country in the world. There's also a thing where you kind of have some Ottoman Empire revanchism going on, because Russia took the Straits of the Bosphorus from them. All right, what are we gonna build next? Let's keep getting more. Let's get some more. We're just mining. We're miners on the moon. Wait, where's this one?
System survey concluded.
Just find something else to survey. No, what is this? Commendable. Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're already surveying that. Can we go this way? Here we go. So, I would say, I'd say tentatively In the Name of the Tsar, but there are issues with it. For example, I don't think they've solved the problem where if you were playing as the Ottomans, you get all these claims on all the... Well, you're technically just Turkey, but you get claims on all of the former Ottoman Empire, and it's supposed to all lead up to a fight with Russia for world dominance, basically. And what is going on here? Wait a minute. I just need to check something. Yeah, but you cannot bypass areas if you already have conquered them. You still have to take the focus, which I think is a real problem. No, I need a frontier outpost. Oh no, I'm running out of money. I'm probably a little bit too distracted, honestly. Okay, so I'd say tentatively In the Name of the Tsar if they improve it. It is an interesting one. Has an American Civil War. Silver Scorpion asks, do you love my cat? I don't know your cat, but I do like cats. Exodus asks, how do I like my steak? I do like my steak rare, but I usually, unless I'm at a place that I know does the steak really, really good, I will ask for them to do it medium rare, because a lot of places hear rare and they think that means I want it cold. So they bring out a fucking cold steak. I don't like that. Next question. In the world of Kaiserreich, what events that can happen in-game do you think would most likely happen? Examples, who would lead Russia? The Second American Civil War would happen or not? Who would win in the Second Weltkrieg? Etc., etc. That one's a little trickier. Yeah, we're just gonna keep building mining ships. There are no resources here. Wait, no. How do I do the research? Here we go, research station, that's what I need. Let's see, the Second American Civil War. You see, that's tricky because alternate history is a tricky thing to talk about, because you always need a jumping off point as to what causes the alternate history, and then after that you don't know about any of the small intangible things that are going on, so it could be very difficult to talk about alternate history. I think most people who study history have a very love-hate relationship. It's ultimately, you're just fantasy booking, and it's always controversial. How many civilizations are out there in the world? In the galaxy? I'm trying to remember. I think it was 4. I'm really not sure. Oh, I love this track. Don't. This is an extremely informal session, again, if you guys hadn't noticed. I guess I should just save up on the minerals and stuff until I get enough to build a frontier outpost. So the Second American Civil War, I think, would happen based on the Kaiserreich lore, but I do not think... but I don't know how you could translate this to Hearts of Iron 4. It wouldn't be happening like you see in the game, except maybe the American Union Party. You'd have like the former Confederacy break off that way, but I mean, like the Workers' Party stuff, it would be happening in almost all cities, I would figure. And I don't really see a sound government coming out of that. At least not one I can imagine. And I'm thinking about like the sort of labor riots that were going on in the 1800s. Like the Great Upheaval, for example. They don't usually teach you about this stuff in American high schools. You gotta like learn it on your own, but things like that. I do not imagine. I do not imagine that the CSA as a governmental organization would exist over that much of the United States. It would be like a series of city governments that uprose all at once, I guess. Okay, but who would lead Russia? Who would lead Russia? That's a tricky one. Okay, so Kerensky's in charge. Kerensky gets assassinated. I think it would probably become the... That's tough. Probably the military dictatorship under Wrangel. Yeah, I think is what would happen. Great, we can do into tradition. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. All right, now who would win the Second Weltkrieg? Now, that's a trickier one. Because one thing I've never understood is why Germany has like the quenched militarism. I suppose it's because of the horrendous casualties of the First World War, but I mean that didn't stop anybody in the original timeline. Okay, where have we got some minerals? Over here. So I would probably say Germany gets it, unless there's a scenario where they start... I guess it's supposed to be like how it plays out in Kaiserreich, where if you have too many of their allies in Middle Europa who are breaking off, who are rebelling, if they're getting attacked by Japan in the Far East, and also by Russia in the East and stuff, then Germany would lose. But if it's a straight-on fight between Germany and versus France and the Union of Britain, I think Germany takes it. Let's see, what alternate history scenario would you like to see a mod made for? I would like to see one based on Harry Turtledove's A Southern Victory series. It's a series of alternate history books that he wrote. Let's see, what do we got here? Mineral storage capacity. Like this. It's a series of books he wrote where the turning point is at the Battle of Antietam. There is no Battle of Antietam, basically, in the Second American Civil War. And Robert E. Lee is able to pierce into Philadelphia and then eventually surround Washington, and then the Union has to surrender. And so the Confederacy continues to exist. Oh, I could build that frontier thing now. Actually, let's go back here and let's build another construction ship. I should have done this earlier. So basically, the Confederacy still exists, also because France and the United Kingdom recognized its existence and guaranteed its independence. And then the novels go all the way up until the 1940s, when, yeah, and you just see how it plays out with the Confederate States of America existing in North America. And there's radical changes that, and like, of course, the changes become progressively more radical as time goes on. That whole ripple effect thing, you know? Okay, let's build a frontier outpost over here. So I think that would be really cool, because it's mostly focused on the United States, but there's other things that are going on. So, like, Japan is interesting in the Far East. Japan and the United States have, like, a small war at one point. What do we got here? Oh, growth is cool. Japan is, of course, going for a lot of its territories, but there's fights over the Sandwich Isles, which is what they call Hawaii, things like that. So I think it'd be good. Look it up, everybody. The Southern Victory series. It's a long series too. I think it's 11 books. All right. Cypher has asked. Sorry, I haven't been saying everybody's names. Cypher has asked, how would you rank the Hearts of Iron 4 land doctrines in terms of general usefulness? Okay. So number one is Grand Battle Plan. I used to think Grand Battle Plan was not good. I thought it had to be buffed, and the more and more that I mess with it, it is so damn good. It is so strong. It gets stronger every time I mess with it, every time I'm trying something different. It's unbelievably good. With that, the planning speed is just ridiculous. There's no other way to describe it. Planning speed is so strong, particularly in Kaiserreich. I should actually be clear here, because I mostly play in Kaiserreich. In Kaiserreich, where you have a lot of countries that can get additional planning bonuses and planning speeds and stuff like that, like Russia can get it. Almost all of the United States offshoot countries can get it because of the they get what is it called, the Ranger Corps or something that the United States can get, which increases recon and planning speed and things like that. It's so damn good. So Grand Battle Plan number 1. After that, I think maybe Mobile Warfare. Then last place would be either Superior Firepower or Mass Assault, but those are situational. It is saying general usefulness. I would probably say, I would say if it's just general usefulness, not depending on any specific country, I'd say Mass Assault is probably at the bottom. It also depends on if you go left or right on the different branches. Then again, okay, on the one hand, while you just get straight up to 20% attack bonus, on the other hand, like the soft attack bonus, on the other hand, Mass Assault can give you additional recruitable population and makes your combat width smaller. So you know what? Changing my mind, Superior Firepower is at the bottom in general usefulness. Alright, next question from F the Carlice 98. Have you played Fallout New Vegas, and if you have, what was your first faction? I'm actually playing Fallout New Vegas now, just here and there. I only started playing it a couple months ago, and I just sometimes play it. If I can't sleep at night, I'll throw it on. Here we go. Frontier Outpost. Oh wait, can I not build a Frontier Outpost here? Oh, it's already in my area. Okay, well. Alright then. Pick the design you wish to build. Wait, I think I clicked the wrong thing. There we go. It's not been surveyed. Okay, let's get surveying. Okay, so New Vegas, I haven't finished my first playthrough, but it seems, because I'm just kind of going through things as they happen. I don't have a specific run in mind for this first time, and it appears that I'm going to be ending up aligning with the New Californian Republic. But on the other hand, I've only run into the Legion like once, so I haven't, and they just kind of, it was at that one city where they killed everybody and they crucified them and stuff. So they just basically, the only decision I had to make there was, are you gonna do something about what we did, or are you gonna walk away? And there was like 10 of them, and I thought, okay, I probably should walk away here. I don't think I'm gonna win this fight. So it looks like I'm going New California Republic, but I'm not sure yet. We'll see what happens. And then F. the Carlos also asks, what do you think is the biggest advantage of Kaiserreich over Vanilla? That would probably be the party popularity system and its corresponding boost to your political power gain, as well as the stability system. I think the stability and political power system is the best part of Kaiserreich and what separates it from the rest of the... it separates it from the herd, so to speak. Have I surveyed this? No, I haven't. Cynical Gamer asks, what are your plans for the upcoming holidays, and will we see more streams in the near future? I'm not so sure about streams. That probably won't happen until we get into late December when the semester is over. Actually, I'm not even sure if it'll happen then. But I just don't think live streams are going to be happening very often. I'm sorry. As for plans for the upcoming holiday, for like the Christmas season and stuff, I will be staying in my hometown. A really great friend of mine is going to be coming into town. He doesn't live here anymore, and so yeah, basically is just gonna hang out with my friends in town. We're gonna do whatever we want to do, play board games, cards, drink, etc., etc. And then I actually have already got flight plans to Ireland for early next year, so that's gonna be awesome. I've never been, and I can't wait. I'm extremely excited. Next question. Which country would you like to be made / reworked in the Kaiserreich update? My first instinct is to say the Qing, who are already very strong, and I'd like to see them get stronger. Let's build that mining station here, and let's actually build 2. So Qing is the first thing that comes to mind. But I also cannot wait for Fingtian to be completely done, to get like its central focus tree, the research in progress thing. I mean, I've wanted for so long a Fingtian that is completely done, that has no bugs when it comes to breaking away from Japan and going to war with them, and just uniting China under the Grand Marshal. I love Fingtian. I play it all the time in my personal time. It's probably second only to Russia, maybe, in like my personal time playthroughs. Fingtian is awesome. So that's it. Now, as far as a country that has no... So I'd say Qing for a country that has no focus tree. I want that to be done. For a country that does have a focus tree but is not done, Fingtian government. A lot of Hearts of Iron 4 questions. Next question, what booze do you prefer? Okay, so this one's going to take a long time to answer. I do like alcohol, but I'm also very paranoid. But let me be clear, I'm not an alcoholic. I get, in fact, quite paranoid about the concept of being dependent on alcohol. What's going on? There we go. A pretty small system here. Ooh, bright and shiny. Okay, so booze I prefer. I guess I kind of got to go through. Let me start by talking about ones I don't like. I do not like vodka. I don't even see the point. I do not like, I don't really like wine. I don't like white wine, except for, what's the kind I've had? I've had some sort of wine, and it was, like, based on, it was kind of citrusy. It was alright. I do like, if I am going to have wine, I prefer red, and if I'm going to have red wine, I hate sweet red wine, where it's, like, just super sugary. Can't stand it. Makes me mad. Do not like it in the least. Oh, I'm missing influence, huh? That's right. That's right. I need... Costs 200. Lacking 22 influence. Shit. So, I like beer. Specifically craft beers. In fact, there's a local bar in my city where... there was a reward system. They have all sorts of different craft beers and stuff. Need a scientist who's skill 5. Damn. Specifically craft beers where... Let me just zoom out while I think about this. Where they do the thing where you have rewards based on how many different beers that you have. So you get rewards when you've had 50 different types of beer. 100 and 150 and then 200. And actually at the 200 was the final reward where they give you a gift card with a couple $100 on it, I think. Wait a minute. Colonizing, building frontier, outposts, no. Unlock 1 ascension perk slot. Let's go with this. Reach for the stars. Reach for the stars. I'm so sorry. This is gonna be a long one. This video, I'm just bullshitting around. So I enjoy so many different types of beers. It just depends on what mood I'm in. I love Hefeweizens. I love stouts. Belgian beer is incredible. Like some of the stuff the monks make is so damn good. Have I not surveyed any of these? Here we go. IPAs, it depends. I cannot stand this just avalanche of Cascade IPAs, like Cascade hop IPAs that have completely flooded the market. And I know that part of that is because IPAs are relatively cheap to make and more importantly, quick to make for a new brewery. So it's just a profitability thing. I mean, you got to get off your feet. And I've seen breweries that they started at just, cranking out some generic ass Cascade IPA. And then they created a base. And now they can make better beer. And that's cool. Good for them. Wait, have I already surveyed this? No, it wouldn't have let me, I think, if I had. I still don't have the influence. How do I get my influence up again? My chief executive officer is helping. Yeah, deep connections. Next election is going to be in 13 years. Yeah, I think we just kind of got to wait around here now. Well, let me get mining and whatnot, I suppose. We have a habitable world over there. Let's build a colony ship. Let's get working on that. So, I do enjoy beers that are nice, that are quality beers. I don't drink domestic beers, the Miller Lights and things like that. It's an embarrassment to the United States that those are some of the most popular beers. And actually, there's another question I got that I'm going to be talking more about beers later. So now other booze I prefer. I do like gin. I've been on like this gin trip lately, trying different kinds. For example, right now I'm making my way through one that's like rosemary. It has like rosemary tastes. So that's interesting. And Scotch is cool. At that bar that I was talking about, where wait a minute, where I got a gift card after I'd hit 200 beers. They do sell liquor there and stuff. So what I actually started to do once I had gone that far, already surveyed this area, surveyed that too. is I started to spend that gift card on crap. Okay, cool. As I started to spend it on scotch, so I got into scotch, but scotch is expensive, so I buy it extremely rarely. Like, for example, I bought a bottle last year that around the holidays. I want to say it was in December or January, and I'm only just now going to probably finish it this month. I drink it very slowly. Just something for when I want to just have a little nip before bed or something. Naval capacity, gene clinic. What's gene clinic do? Growth speed. Let's go with eco stimulation. Bourbon is cool too. I enjoy like Wild Turkey Rare Breed. The Wild Turkey family is nice. I mean, not so much the regular, but like the plain Wild Turkey. But I've had a lot of the Wild Turkeys over the years, and I think Rare Breed's my favorite. And it's interesting because it's one of those things where Rare Breed is my favorite, but I could objectively say that it's not the best. That's not the best beer. I mean, the best bourbon that Wild Turkey makes. But it's my personal favorite. I think their Diamond Anniversary is definitely better, and I was privileged enough to be able to taste some of that last year. I didn't have my own bottle. It's far too expensive. Oh boy, you really opened the floodgates, didn't you, with the booze question? So yeah, I'd say so I guess in summation, my preferred booze is, if I'm having beer, I'm going to have some sort of craft beer. If I'm drinking liquor, it's either scotch or bourbon. If I want a darker liquor, like in color liquor, it's gin if I want something clear and more refreshing. All right, next question. I'm going to answer 2 more questions from the Discord, and then I'm going to go to my paper. You mentioned that you were going for your master's degree in history. What are you writing your thesis on? Also, what is your favorite area of history? All right, so that's a mouthful. So my thesis, here's the thing. You don't, at least here, okay, energy credits, right when I was about to start mining these too. So just in time. Why can't I, it's not in our borders. Crap. Okay, what's in our borders? Because I need energy down here. Because I'm running out of credits. I'm running a deficit. Oh, ship's already doing that. Okay, awesome. You do not have to write a thesis at all places when you're doing your master's degree. And so basically for the particular program that I'm doing, it's a combination of I'm taking... Now, I will have to write like a dissertation when it comes time to go for a doctorate, but basically I'm taking my regular classes and I have to write big research papers in there, but also I have to like get... I guess you have to call it real work hours or something. I'm trying to... How do I explain? Basically, I have to spend time actually working at a museum or something like that, getting practical experience as part of my... It's part of getting my master's. And then, I guess... Actually, there's a follow-up question for this later. So yeah, basically, I'm not writing a specific thesis right now for my master's, because I actually do not have to. I will talk about a specialty paper I did write, and I actually managed to present at a conference later. So what is my favorite area of history? I definitely have an inclination towards Europe. A lot of European history is extremely interesting to me. But I just enjoy so much. So I guess here's the best way I could... Oh, I already surveyed this. All right, so I guess what I'll do is by continent talk about favorite areas of history. So the United States, I mean like North America. North America is the United States. It's part of Greater United States. So in North America, my favorite period of history would probably be like between 1800 and 1850 in the United States. Yeah, I'd say it. So kind of that post-American Revolution up to pre-Civil War is really interesting. Although, I mean, I guess you could stretch it into... Okay, you know what? I'd say the United States from the end of the American Revolution to the end of the Civil War is a particularly interesting period for me. We're still running a deficit here. Alright, but this is now in my borders. So let's get mining credits. We're mining money. Is there any other credits out there in the world I can mine? really running a deficit. I don't like this. There's another one over here. Can I build a frontier outpost? I don't think I have enough influence, not nearly enough. Okay, so we're just going to go over here. In Europe, it's also 19th century, I'd say. Yeah, 19th century Europe is really interesting to me. I've done some pretty in-depth studies there. In Africa, the ancient Egyptians. In South America, I'd say Peru from... Yeah, I'd say like 1970s and on. Peru is really interesting to me. Particularly the term of Fujimori as president of Peru during the 1990s. In Australia, I like their music. I know very little about Australian history, to be honest with you. And in Asia... Well, that's a little trickier. That's pretty broad. I would say the Warring States period of China. Not the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. I'm talking about much earlier, post Zhou dynasty. Is interesting to me. And is that all the continents? And Antarctica right now. That's probably a lie. Okay, now next question. What is El Paso like? Do you like it, etc.? So El Paso is where I live. Wait a minute. What is eating up the money? It's just station maintenance. It's the mining stations and frontier outposts. We must mine more. It's not in our borders. Crap. Okay, I need 100 influence, I think, to build another frontier outpost. Yeah. Okay, so we're just gonna sit around and wait for that. So El Paso is a city that was amazing probably about 100 years ago. I'm not a fan of it now. A lot of it is we do not have a very good city council. There's very little, the citizens don't take much charge in actually building their city. The construction here is horrific. It has been completely given over to private enterprises that just do whatever the fuck they want, and we just keep giving them money. In fact, I would say that is the story of El Paso right now. It's taxpayer money going into private business ventures for no return. And it's actually quite embarrassing. For example, there is a golfing company that was coming to El Paso. They were going to build a practice range, and the city gave them $5 million to build here. And they took the $5 million, and then the spokesman for that company literally came out and said, we did not even ask for the money. We were going to build here anyway, and then they just gave it to us. So they're laughing at us. That's just one example of it. There is a project being worked on, I think I've mentioned this in streams before, for an arena to be built downtown. An arena that we do not need, an arena that nobody asked for. But people who build the arena and who own property where that arena is going to be built and they're going to have to be bought out, they want that arena there. And there is this okay, now time for my tinfoil hat to go on. You want to talk about El Paso? So there is this group in El Paso called El Paso del Norte, which is straight up Illuminati, the 300 richest people in the city, who they just plan out the entire city's future. And these people don't run for office because they just fund the person who's going to run for office. And also, let me be clear. So, El Paso votes Democratic, but at the local level, it's almost entirely nonpartisan. People don't actually join political parties. And in fact, we have a Republican mayor. So, I just want to be clear about that. That's how it works out here. It's very local governance. People don't vote. We have one of the most embarrassingly low voter turnout rates in the state, which is already a kind of a low turnout state, and in fact in the country. I think in our mayoral election we had less than 5% turnout this last mayoral election, and so that's how you get a Republican mayor in a town that votes Democratic. If only the Republicans show up to vote, that's exactly what's going to happen. Where do I want to build my next outpost? I kind of want to get to the edge here. Still haven't run into anybody out there. Ooh, 40% risk. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Can I build a... Actually, I should wait on building that outpost. I can't anyway yet, but... Oh, right here. Here's where I wanted to build it because I wanted to get to those energy credits. So El Paso sucks. Having said that, there is some amazing history down here in El Paso, and especially some fantastic architecture. And I do love El Paso's history from early, basically during when the railroad came and it turned into a boom town. Very, very extremely interesting stuff. Digging itself into the asteroid. Tried to... Ooh, it could scrap for materials. I don't need. Let's try to stop the machine. What's happening? Timed project. Oh, research. Okay, one construction ship is in orbit. Okay, so like look up Tross, like Henry Tross and Gustavus Tross, the architectural firm Trost and Tross was based here. They built some incredible buildings. The local El Paso High School is basically based on the Parthenon, which is really cool. But they could do a lot of different things, those guys. They could build in like Moorish architectural style. They could build they were mostly experts in the Chicago style, but they could do all sorts of things. And actually, I should probably not just start talking about Trost because then I'll just be here all day. But a lot of their things are littered around the city, and it's really cool. And El Paso does have a cool history, but not cool people. And Matt's follow-up question here on the Discord is, would I like to move anywhere else? Yes, absolutely. Even if it was just up the road over the border into New Mexico, into Las Cruces. Las Cruces is a really nice city. God, how long has this been going so far? We're 36 minutes in. You got people must be bored if they're listening to this. Deflectors. I don't know. This is short. Okay, so let's go to some of the questions I got papers on. What have you written history papers on or research papers on? All right, so I've written tons of history papers. I've done some that were paid writing for pay. I've written for pay, so like I've done other people's papers for them for pay. But I'll talk about ones that I specifically have worked on. Ones that spring to mind are, let me actually talk about one. I'll just talk about one specifically for now. I did write a paper that I presented at a historical conference that was called The U.S. War with Mexico in Historical Memory. So what the fuck is historical memory? You may be wondering. I just remembered I have that colony ship out there. Where's the spaceport? I'm so dumb. I'm so stupid. Wait, is there even a habitable planet? There was one out here somewhere. Yeah. Whoa, I'm so sorry. I'm coughing. So the U.S. War with Historical Memory is specifically about the war that happened between the United States in from 1846 to 1848, ending in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. And what I was doing is research. Oh fuck! I need to go. Wait a second. There's a lot of things going on here. I need to keep track. Anomaly. Okay, we're researching that. New research. Let's just do that. Where's the thing? The asteroid. Yeah, drill rampage. It failed. I am so dumb. God damn it. A lot of things are going on here. Let's pause it. Okay, we're gonna pause it so I can think for a second. Alright, so the U.S. War with Historical Memory, it's about the war from 1846 to 1848, but specifically, how is that war remembered? So it's not about the war like, okay, war started on this day, these battles happened, ended on this day. It's not about that. It was about how it's remembered in like the historiography and the historical memory. So to be more clear, historiography is like is a term for the collected works about a subject. So for example, if somebody wrote a book about the Crimean War, that would be a history of the Crimean War. And let's say 10 people wrote books about the Crimean War. And they all are generally the same. Of course, there's going to be differences between them, but collectively, all the books about the Crimean War are the historiography of the war. I hope that makes sense. Now, historical memory is basically how do we remember something? historically. That it's based on it's kind of like collective memory. This can all get really complicated, but basically it's how do we remember the war or an event in particular. So like, what is the historical memory of, say, a president? Like, how do we remember Abraham Lincoln? And basically historiography will tend to influence historical memory, because people write a book about the history of something and then other people read it and that influences them, and so that becomes historical memory. I'm trying to think of another way to describe. Okay, so like think of it like if there was a there's an example. There was a actually no, it's gonna get too complicated. But yeah, anyway, so it was about the historical memory of the war, and so what I was basically talking about in the paper is how, while some people think that the U.S. war with Mexico is just passed over in history, that's not really the case. It's more of not passed over, like it's a story of like, oh, America, fuck yeah, we kicked Mexico's ass, but that's not really the case. It was like when I was looking at textbooks, and I looked at textbooks from all over the country, in the United States that is, covering decades of space, like going as recently as the current year to as far back to like the early 1900s, because that was basically the only textbooks I could find. I think I found one from like 1896, but they actually don't even talk about the war with Mexico, or if they do, it's super brief, and I'm talking literally one sentence brief. Like, the United States had a war with Mexico, and then they okay, cool, there's some energy credits over here. They had a war with Mexico and they got California at the end. So that has been almost universal ever since the war happened. But at the historiography level, meaning books that are written about the war, the tone of it has changed, because the way this war was studied, it used to be in the context of a U.S. military victory, and it was incredible. Actually, it was amazing. Some of the it's actually a lot of the stuff that the U.S. Army did during the U.S. war with Mexico is still studied to this day. And it really is something that stifled the anti-war movement, because the U.S. Army was so successful. It wasn't like Vietnam, where there was relatively low casualties. Well, actually, not really. But geez, I'm just stumbling. I'm all over the place. I need the paper in front of me. Okay. Sorry. All right. So anyway, the way that the war was viewed kind of changed around Vietnam, because there was a big anti-war movement going on around the time of the Vietnam War. We have a pirate fleet. We got a pirate fleet here. Where's my military fleet? I just realized I haven't been building any military stuff at all. Can I assign a leader? Recruit one. I don't want to spend influence on that. He's going for my station. No, you pirate scum! Bastards! It started to change around the Vietnam War, because you also had the Chicano rights movement going on. And so they were looking back and studying, wait a minute, you got all these Chicanos who live in the Southwest. Well, the border crossed them, as the saying goes, and they started looking into the U.S. war with Mexico, and then they started looking at it more in the lens of, this wasn't this was manifest destiny gone wrong. This was one republic declaring war on another republic, although Mexico was going through some crazy things at the time. Look up Santa Anna if you haven't heard of him. That guy was the leader of Mexico several times, over and over. Anyway, so my paper was about that. About like how we remember it, and how it is remembered, how it I'm gonna need to build a lot more Corvettes.
Fleet silenced.
That sucks. And things like that. Let's just go to the galaxy mode and pause it. I'm sorry, I'm taking too long. I'm gonna start going through these faster. How do I like my steak? I already answered that. Why do people want to know that? Musical tastes. Mostly classic rock. Led Zeppelin is my favorite band, but I'll listen to anything pretty much. I don't like pop. I don't like country. Or you know what? I like music that I actually think is country. When I think about country and what like country's supposed to represent, quote unquote, it should represent, I think of Neil Young. I like Neil Young. I like, he's the guy who did Farm Aid. And Willie Nelson, he's another great country music artist. I don't like fucking Brad Paisley or something, and my sister does, which annoys the shit out of me. But I mostly these days listen to soundtracks, so like the Stellaris soundtrack, for example. I don't listen to very much music that's not a soundtrack, that's not orchestral from this side of the millennium, basically. I don't really like any modern bands almost at all. I probably can count on one hand all the bands that I listen to. Like, I actively will follow their albums. A few of them that come to mind are, yeah, it's basically the Gaslight Anthem. There is Say Anything. I think Max Bemis is a genius. I'm a big fan of his. Yeah, so there's just not very many. But mostly it's soundtracks these days. Orchestral stuff, something I can listen to while I study or while I read. Let's go down here and grab the... Where's the habitable planet? It's over here. This is habitable. I'm lacking influence to colonize it. Alright, so I guess we're just going to wait for the military fleet to get built and also get more influence so I can actually colonize. So that's my musical taste. Next, I scribbled something, I can't read it. We'll go to the next question. Thoughts on other YouTubers. Okay, so this is going to be another long rant. I actually thought about this at work. I was like just kind of idle and thinking of stuff. And so here's what I'm figuring. I figured out that a lot of the Hearts of Iron 4 YouTubers and other YouTubers I want to be, I thought of them in the context of being like breweries. Let me be more clear about that. I mean, for example, so Drew Durnell, Alex, the Rambler, and ISP. So those are the big three, although really they're the big one now. So that's like Budweiser, Coors Light, you know, all that stuff. Miller, it's them. And it's like, you can't ignore them. You can't. They set the trends in the community. It doesn't matter if they're good or not. Because they have the biggest appeal. So that's what they are. So they're like, that's what they are in the community. Then you have somebody like Mordred Viking. So Mordred Viking, he's like, I make mead, and that's good, and that's fine. He's good. He just makes good, solid mead, and it's underappreciated. Like, you know, we don't go to the gas station to get mead. Then you've got like Pixelated Apollo. So I thought of Pixelated Apollo as I hope I'm not extending these metaphors and these are just going over people's heads.
Research concluded.
I'm sorry. Let's build a mineral silo. I think no. Let's build a power plant. So, Pixelated Apollo is Lagunitas Brewery before they sold out because he just does Total War stuff, but he's really successful, and anybody who's drank Lagunitas, particularly before they sold out, it's like they basically just had one beer. They had several beers, but they always had a signature yeast, and it was really good. And it was just one of those things where, like, if you like Lagunitas, if you like one of their beers, you're probably gonna like all of their beers. That's just how they were. We're still building. We're not at influence yet. So that's how I view Pixelated Apollo. It's like, if you like one of his Total War videos, you're probably going to like all of them, which is not a bad thing. It's good. He's consistent and delicious. Feedback Gaming. These are just a couple ideas I had, again at work. Feedback Gaming is Heineken. So he's like pretty much 100% advertising. Like, first off, I said earlier, I'm somebody who drinks... I think beer is something that could be really quality. I think there can be very high-end beers, beers that taste really delicious, beers that are pretty much works of art in a bottle. Heineken is not that. You cannot take seriously any beer in a green bottle, because beer in a green bottle is letting more light in, it's oxygenating, it's just bad, and it's not something that should be done. And so any beer in a green bottle, any brewery that's putting their beer in a green bottle, you can just dismiss their thoughts on taste immediately. They are going for some sort of look. And Heineken has the signature green bottle. Damn it, I am running out of energy credits again. Build this. Why isn't... What's going on here? There's no route for the selected feet to reach the system. What the hell are you talking about? Alright, damn it, I need to pause it again. I'm getting too distracted. So he's, like Heineken, they can say they're the best beer of the world. They could put that on their label. There's nothing that says they can't do that. And so people buy it because that's what it is. And that's how I feel about Feedback Gaming with, like, especially his Min-Max series. He just makes his thumbnail, slap on Min-Max on it, you're going to get views. Is he min-maxing? Absolutely not. Anybody who has played Hearts of Iron 4 and watches him, he's not min-maxing. Anybody who uses AI battle plans is not min-maxing. And that's just one example. He's not a min-maxer. I mean, I used to watch him because I thought he would help me be a better player looking at some of his videos, and I'd say it's been quite the opposite. So Feedback Gaming is the Heineken of the Hearts of Iron 4 community. And I think it shows because he has, like, nowhere near the subscriber numbers of, like, Drew Durnell and Alex, the Rambler, and ISP. Even though he claims to make, like, guides and stuff, which you think would make him more appealing. And I noticed he also has tried to do, like, the dank meme thing. So again, it's like the Heineken stuff. He's trying to jump on a market. He's trying to do this thing, and it's like, dude, you gotta find your own path, man. Instead he's just like doing these advertising tactics and trying to copy more successful subscribers, and it's just not gonna work, and it shows. Anyway, so he's the Heineken. Moving on, you have Mini a True Nerd, who's like the Scotch distillery, high quality, excellent stuff, with a British accent. You know, he's from the Isles, or English, whatever the fuck his accent is. Count Christo, who's relatively unknown. In fact, everyone should go check out Count Christo. So Count Christo, I'm not sure if he's the best Hearts of Iron player in the world. Best Hearts of Iron player in the world is probably somebody who's not uploading things on YouTube, like they're just focusing full-time on the game. But I think he might be the best Germany player. He's certainly the best I've ever seen. So I thought of him as like a Trappist brewery, those monks who make like things like Chimay and Rochefort 10 and stuff, where like they just only make a very, very tiny selection of beers. So that's what Count Christo comes across. And he plays other things besides Germany, but it's like he just specializes in Germany. He kicks ass as Germany. And so he reminds me of like a Trappist brewery. And then me, I'm just some guy. I'm just a small town brewery trying to make beer. Like I'm not trying to make the best beer for everybody. I'm trying to make the best beer for somebody. As Dogfish Head Brewery used to say, not that I've had them in a while, they're far too expensive these days, but as they used to say, we make off-center beers for off-center people, and so that's what I hope my channel is. You know what? I'm too distracted by these questions to play Stellaris properly, if you guys haven't noticed. So there's going to be a cut here while I... Actually, there's not even going to be a cut, but we're just gonna exit this, and I'm going to play something that's less distracting. And then we'll go back to some questions. Where's Broforce? There it is. I know this is a long one, but this has been a long series, but long question thing. But I'm not going outside. It's Black Friday. Let's turn it all down a little bit. This is Broforce. You guys haven't seen it before. All right, next question. What job do you think you can easily get after getting your MA in history? Museum jobs are what I'm looking at right now. There's a lot of openings here in El Paso, but also in other places. So I'm hoping to get a job in a museum. I would like to one day be a professor, but I mean, I'm not necessarily married to that. Working in a museum would be cool. I've also already done work in some local museums here in El Paso. But I'm talking about like maybe getting a higher level job, something, you know, some sort of director. All right, next up, Lou Carl. There's a lot of guys named Carl who have Carl in their name in my Discord. He has like 6 questions for me. First one, what got you into making YouTube videos? I think it was me and some friends, we were talking about a lot of these like vlogger dumbasses on YouTube, and we just said, we can make better stuff than them. And so a friend of mine, he wanted to do a thing where we were just going to talk about, initially it was just going to be Game of Thrones. And the concept was that, so he reads the books, he's a big fan of the show, he's a show apologist, as I have called him. And we have another friend who's only watched the show, can't hit that block, whatever, who's never read the book, any of the books, and but he likes the show, though he will admit its faults. And I'm somebody who read the books, the Song of Ice and Fire books, and I started to watch the show, and I just hated it. I grew to hate it, and I walked away. So the concept would be it'd be the three of us, and from our different perspectives, we'd talk about A Song of Ice and Fire or the show. What is going on here? B.A. Boracus. What's going on? It's like frozen. There we go. Oh, I got a flamethrower! Fuck yeah! All right. So, and we recorded like 12 hours worth of stuff, and none of it's on YouTube. Never saw the light of day. He walked away from it. He didn't want to do it. It had to do with something that was going on at his work, but basically he didn't want to create the channel anymore. So I was really annoyed, and I said I'm going to make my own channel, and I actually made two. One is the Conquering History Games channel, as you know. Where do I need to go here? Is it this? There we go. It's Conquering History Games channel, which all of you watch, but there's also another channel, which honestly I haven't been paying as much attention to, and I need to start doing. It's called Voyages in Time. There'll be a link to it in the description below. But I want to talk about history-related stuff over there. Although I'm also doing a review of Legend of the Galactic Heroes, which is not very good quality, but basically I review the episode, and then I talk about, and then I talk about, there we go. How it's related to history and things like that. Meaning, for example, there's oh, I can move the tree. There's this paramilitary organization that exists in Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Like, I compare them to the brown shirts, for example. How do I get across here? Do I just run it? Ah! Oh, well, shit. What was I supposed to do? But yeah, I just started doing it, and I ended up liking it. So here we are. I need to spend more time on the Voyages in Time channel, though. I've been neglecting it a lot. No, I can't. Oh, he grabs with the knife to climb up. Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Next question. Could you see this becoming a full-time thing if revenue was to work out from YouTube ads, Patreon, etc.? Absolutely. My main priority is going to school and getting my master's, and I don't really care how I get money until then. I don't have a job that's history related now. It's a job that I take though because it gives me good hours to allow me to go to school. So if I could have a job as a full-time YouTuber that I could do from home and I could make my own hours, why wouldn't I take that? Of course I'd go full-time if I could. What am I gonna do here? Next question. What game genres do you enjoy outside of Grand Strategy? I mean, I'm not too picky, and I'm dead. I'm not too picky about these things. I do like some shooters. I really like Borderlands. I played a lot of Borderlands 2. I play a lot of, actually, card games and board games with my friends. A lot of board games. There's tons of board games that we play. Although you probably were asking about video game genres specifically. Actually, a friend of mine is working on a board game. He wants to make his own, and we're all very excited about that. Next question. Who is the best monarch in Kaiserreich? Parentheses, the answer is Karl. Okay, so the person who asked has shown his allegiance. Best monarch in Kaiserreich. I think that Kaiser Wilhelm is interesting, how like we think of him in our own timeline compared to how he is the male Victoria in theirs. I think that's kind of funny. So maybe it might be Wilhelm. Who else? I mean, nobody else comes to mind. You know what, Edward? Edward, because he can be the monarch of the most places. He can be monarch of Canada, the monarch of the United Kingdom, and the monarch of the Dominion of India. So, and South Africa in the original timeline. So, I mean, the vanilla thing in Vanilla Hearts of Iron 4, he could become that. So, I'm going with Edward. Edward's the best monarch. Would you consider asking community members for pronunciations of words from other languages? I think this was him being annoyed that I mispronounced something in Austrian once. And yeah, I guess I'll ask. Sorry. What is your favorite leader portrait? Solomon Lvovsky. The guy has an epic beard. Absolutely epic. Unfortunately, I never take him because... Well, I've sometimes taken him when I want to do a challenge on my own time, but he costs 300 political power to take for Russia. What am I going to do here? Can I make that jump? Oh, no! Wait. Interesting. Found some sort of cavern over here. Next question. What is your favorite Kaiserite country to play as? Russia. Easily. Russia. Russia is never the same game twice, which is awesome. Number 2. What is your favorite... this is from Legoman AZ8. What is your favorite vanilla country to play as in Hearts of Iron 4? I think I need to use a rocket here. Oh, why didn't the rocket fire? Oh, shit. All right, favorite vanilla country in Hoi 4... Let me think. It's probably Germany. Favorite vanilla country? No, Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia is really fun. It's interesting. It's frustrating, but I like it. It should be a challenge. Oh, I'm too close! Damn it. I died. Mission failed. Was that my last life? Okay, no. Give me a fresh one. So, yeah, I'd say Yugoslavia or Germany. What is your favorite part of American history? As I said earlier, that would be, like, the age of Jackson, quote-unquote. From, like, yeah, 1800 to 1850. More specifically, I'd say 1815 to 1850 in American history. So, like, when John Quincy Adams was president, and the guy just killed himself for some reason. Not John Quincy Adams, but that guy who I was trying to rescue. Yeah. The era between the War of 1812 and the U.S. War with Mexico. Just how the country was completely transforming itself is so interesting. Oh, he throws dynamite! McBruber! Whatever his name was. You're fired. Whoop. Dynamite! Dynamite everywhere! Woo! Okay, what are my top 5 favorite games? Alright, I'd probably have to really think about that. As you can see, I'm a little bit distracted right now. Off the top of my head, Medieval 2 Total War, Borderlands 2, New Vegas might become one. Although, I sometimes am getting a little bit frustrated by certain things that happen. Oh, and he's down. Ugh, I'm an idiot. I don't think Hearts of Iron 4 is in there. If it is, it's like 5. And again, I assume you guys are talking about video games. Whoop, whoop. Jesus. I love Super Smash Bros. Melee. I used to play it a ton when I was in high school. I'm not really that good anymore, but I definitely think Melee was the best of the Smash Bros. That ever came out. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. It's one I used to play on the Game Boy. It's where he basically... Oh, don't fall off the cliff. Link winds up on this island unconscious. He wakes up unconscious, and it's just, him going through dungeons and stuff, but I feel it was the best one. Get the color version if you can. If you want to emulate it, find the color version. Dynamite! Dynamite! Suicide Bomber! Oh, these Suicide Bombers are terrible. Hate them. Was that 5? I think that was 5. How's my sex life? That's an inappropriate question. I don't think I would answer that without my wife here. Next, have you ever considered to take YouTube as a job? I already answered that. Who's your favorite Discord moderator? I am pretty liberal with my field marshal batons. On the one hand, Zombinator really helped get the Discord going. On the other hand, Valentine has a sweet profile picture. It's really nice looking. So, a little bit of some, a little bit of the other, tough to say. What made me interested in history in the general? I guess it was just the stories initially. I used to get a lot of history books from my grandfather. And I think the thing that made me realize I wanted it to be a career is I was going through different career ideas, middle school, high school, different ideas, and there was a time I wanted to be an architect. And then I met architects and engineers, and I realized I don't want to be an architect, I want to be an engineer. I thought I wanted to be an architect, but I wanted to be an engineer. And then one day, I was applying for colleges, and I was working on one in particular. Oh, I have a sword, a melee weapon. I was working on my college application to this one university that had a really excellent engineering program, and I was blowing it off reading a history book. In fact, I remember I was reading Histories, to be specific, Histories by Herodotus. I was actually reading that and so I realized, wait a minute, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. So I decided, I'm gonna pursue history. So I suppose that's where it happened. And so much of history is fascinating to me. And I think it's taught very wrongly. That's why a lot of people don't like it. People who don't... whenever I talk to somebody who didn't like history, it basically comes down to they had a bad teacher, so they think they don't like history. Next question. Does Kaiser Wilhelm shit in the woods? I don't know. Maybe when he's hunting or something and there's nowhere else to shit. More Q&A questions. What is your favorite historical fiction novel? I don't know if I've even read that many. So I take it by you saying historical fiction, that means a fictional book that takes place during real events. There was this series of books, I think it's called like A Portrait of an American Family or something, and it's actually, interestingly enough, it's about like a Christian family, but you experience their the story of their family. And it's like written by Christian writers, because like there's scenes that, you know, they turn to Jesus for help, like not literally Jesus, but you know, they turn to the Bible for advice. But don't let that stop you. It's one of those things like Prince of Egypt. Like, you don't have to be a Christian to enjoy the movie Prince of Egypt. It's a great animated film. So it's like a 13 or something long series of books. The first one is called The Puritans, and it takes place in England. And you just follow this guy who works for a bishop, and you follow his story, and he eventually gets on a boat, and he comes to the New World when England was first exploring. And then the second one, or was the second one called The Puritans? Yeah, but then the second one is like colonial America when they were still underneath the British. Aristotska? Wait, I saw Aristotska somewhere. Cambodium. Anyway, so like there was a book that took place during the Civil War. That was my favorite one because it followed, the story was like of these several brothers and their experiences during the Civil War. So like one joined the army, another one became like a sort of journalist because he could sketch things. So, but then he became a photographer because, you know, photography was the future. And then there was another one who joined the army. He became like, he was like a sniper, I think, or something. Yeah, but like the whole thing with him was that he got captured by a Confederate. And then the brother who was an artist ended up in Andersonville. And there was a lot of different things going on. There was a World War I era novel. Most of the novels were set around wars. And then the final one was in Vietnam. Yeah. Which wasn't that great. That was not a good one. I think the Civil War book was the best, probably followed by the World War II book. And that's probably just because of the different points of view, because the World War II one also, it was like 4 siblings. Crap, how am I going to get out of here? So yeah, An American Family Portrait, or whatever the hell that was. Very Bible-influenced, but pretty interesting stuff. Interesting concept. Favorite non-fiction historical book, which just sounds like a more oxymoron, like history books aren't fiction. What the hell is that? My favorite one, Thucydides, is cool. Actually, no. My favorite history book of all time is a book called War Through the Ages by Leon Montrose. Amazingly written, amazingly researched. Just an absolute gold standard of military history as far as I'm concerned. It was written, I think, in the late 50s, because it only goes as late as the Korean War. Yeah, fuck. And it is a little bit influenced when you get towards the later chapters by the Cold War going on. And the guy did work for the government, the United States government. I think he was like a teacher at West Point when he wrote it. I might have to double check that. But War Through the Ages by Leon Montrose. Anybody who's interested in military history has to pick up that book. I'm sure you can find it on Amazon. What has your university experience been like overall? Excellent professors, terrible administration. The University of Texas administrative system is horrendous. It's terrible. I don't recommend it to anybody. Having said that, I've had amazing professors. I've had professors who really challenged you, who really made you work hard, who really knew how to lead a class, who assigned really fantastic stuff, who really, and like, who knew how to mold young minds, you know what I mean? Okay, what's the... Jesus. Explosions everywhere! Next question. What character in Kaiserreich do you think has the best portrait, and before it's not Mosley? Best portrait. I mean, didn't I say Solomon Lvovsky already? He's got a gun! He's got a sword in his throat. So I kind of already answered that. What is your favorite figure in Kaiserreich? In essence, their personality, political career, backstory, how the Kaiserreich universe affected their political beliefs and careers. I think Quentin Roosevelt being an available character is pretty cool. Let's see, who else? I'm thinking like you're talking about personalities and stuff, how the Kaiserreich universe influenced them. Yeah, Quentin Roosevelt is just the first thing that comes to mind. I'm not sure who else. I don't like MacArthur, but I think it's interesting the path he takes, just becoming the military dictator. Let's see. I'm not a fan of Huey Long. I know people get freaking crazy over him, but I'm not a fan of Huey Long, actually. And I think it's just people who just understand him from the share our wealth thing, but that guy was corrupt as fuck. He was basically the dictator of Louisiana. And, he said all the right things, I guess, but he was a dictator through and through. And I'm very glad he never became president. Next question. If you were to be put in the Kaiserreich universe, what time and place would you want to be in? Tough. I guess I would probably want to be somewhere that's not war-torn. What time and place? What time and place? That is really tough. Maybe like a peaceful Mexico. Socially democratic Mexico that just... Yeah, that just works on the... Fuck, those suicide bombers! Yeah, just go the social democratic route of Mexico, which is the only one where they can't invade the United States during the Civil War. So all they do is they just build up infrastructure, I guess. Yeah, so it's a peaceful one. What is your opinion on the Darkest Hour version of Kaiserreich? I'm working on learning that, because I would want to bring it to the channel. What is that? Paratroopers are coming in! Oh my god, help! We gotta go! Get to the chopper! So I couldn't say. Next question, Wilhelm the First, the second, or the third? I guess the second. Wilhelm I died pretty quick. Favorite Habsburg. Damn it, I'm sorry I keep clicking. It's because I'm going through the scroll over there. Favorite Habsburg. Which of the inbred Habsburgs is my favorite? Franz Ferdinand count? Of course, he had it coming. You know, the assassination. He even said it. Take me out. Look it up. Franz Ferdinand, take me out. He said it. Oh my god! You know, I actually remember I had a history teacher in high school who, during tests, he'd play music that was vaguely based on whatever we were taking the test on. So for during the World War I test, he'd play "Take Me Out" by Franz Ferdinand. And when we were studying Mesoamerica, he'd play "Cortez the Killer" by Neil Young. Actually, I think that's what originally got me into Neil Young. Yeah, it's good stuff. I think we're almost out of questions here. Is there a specific quote you live by? I don't think that's the right... I don't know. Do better, I guess. Let's see. Let me look at my papers. Are there any more questions I haven't answered here? Oh, yeah. What kind of history do I specialize in? So, I've from talking with people on Discord and in live streams, I get like it seems there are vast differences in how history university programs work in different countries. So the university program I went through is for the history, you had to take, of course, all your basics, but specifically for the major, you were required to take several oh, he's just got a gun. You had to take several courses in different regions in the world. So for example, you had to, I believe it was 4 different regions of the world you had to have taken classes in, at least. Now, you could take more if you wanted. Like, you could take 5 courses in European history if you wanted, but you could not just take all of them in European history. So, for example, some of the courses I took were for the United States. I took Civil War and Reconstruction. For Europe, I took 19th century Europe. I took like Latin American history as well. Specifically, I did one that focused on Brazil. Yeah, I took a few South American courses actually. What else did I take? Yeah, but the point is, I took several different courses. Now, you also had to take a senior seminar course. So the seminar course would be when you focus on a very specific event in history, and it's to teach, and it's basically where you write a thesis, and it's you would write a paper on it, and it's an extremely intensive course. You read like a book a week, on a very specific subject. So the junior senior seminar course I took was on the U.S. war with Mexico, which led to me writing that paper that I was lucky enough to present at a conference. And so, like, we read tons of books from different perspectives on the war. So, like, there was a military history of the war. We read one that was, like, a more generalized history of the war. We read lots of primary sources, of course. You read that in all history courses. But we read, in particularly, a ton of them in that course. And then every classmate would, like, write a specific thesis. So, for example, one of my classmates, she wrote a paper on James Polk, just him, in the context of the war, and he was the president of the United States at the time. Another one of my classmates wrote about the influence that the border crossing did, like the new border, specifically like Native American tribes who had tribal lands that ended up on both sides of the border, and what were the consequences of that. What other papers people do? Yeah, they were all like really specific papers, because it's teaching you to do original research and stuff like that. Another example of a paper. I'm just rambling now. I can't. Thank you to anybody who's sticking around. It shows me you really like the channel. I remember I also did a paper once. We were studying early 19th century America, United States, and I did a paper specifically on European views of the United States as a new country. So I wrote about like Hegel and his views on the United States, like, you know, the world spirit going there, but also Alexis de Tocqueville, his book Democracy in America. But also Alexis de Tocqueville had somebody else who came with him to the United States who also wrote a book about his perception of the United States at the time, and it was called Marie, I think, and it was about it was a fictional novel. But it was about slavery in America. And I remember there was this really interesting passage in it where he has a character, but it's clearly him talking. It's the author talking, but it's through the character. And he says how the United States is such an inspiring country based on like its ideals of democracy and liberty and things like that. But, oh my God, lasers! But the problem is the slavery, and it's like, there's like a huge monologue that this one character gives, where he's just saying, you know, this country that talks about these ideals of freedom while holding millions in bondage, and how it's just this stain on the United States that it does that. I thought it was really interesting. And then there were other people, like, you know, other philosophers and writers, but I was just showing, yeah, what did Europeans think of the United States in the early 19th century? Fuck, they're all dying! I got Chuck... Man, Chuck Norris sucks. All he's got is this shotgun with so little range. Where were we? What question were we on? Oh yeah, so things I specialized in. So at the graduate level, here's the thing. You can specialize in a specific like geographical area or a time period. But the master's degree program I'm working on, you also can specialize in like, I don't know how to describe it other than like a concept, which is not uncommon here in the United States. I don't know how they do it in Europe at the universities, but you can specialize in a historical concept. For example, one that I've been tempted to specialize in is like revolutions. So the history of revolutions, what causes revolutions, how do revolutions pan out, things like that. The university where I got my degree program in, they had you could actually get a PhD in studying borders. So like, why do countries make borders where they do? What causes borders to move? What are the consequences of borders moving? An example of this, if that sounds like too abstract, is I remember I attended a lecture from this Polish professor, and she was talking about how after World War II, when Poland lost basically the East to the Soviet Union, but they were given German land in the West. And then the Soviet Union was kind of portraying it as this idea of, look, we're giving Poland is receiving land back, but that land hadn't been Polish in like 500 years. it's not like anybody there really spoke Polish anymore. It was German clay now, I guess you can say. You know, anybody who's played Crusader Kings, basically there had been de jure drift. And yeah, that land used to be Polish 500 years ago, but it was effectively German land now. And then the land that was now Polish was taken away from them in the east. And so it talked about the consequences of that and why it happened. So that would be an example of studying borders and how they change. I hope that makes sense. So the type of history that I am trying to specialize in is, damn, this guy's tough. That I'm trying to specialize in is like, it's called myth and memory. So it's basically like, why do we remember things the way we do? What creates societal myths, perceptions of, man, I'm getting my ass kicked on this level. Okay, like an example of a myth would be, and myths could be good or bad, but like, okay, what is the United States myth? That it is like, this is where the freedom is. All the freedom is here in the United States. We are the city on the hill. That's like the myth. That's what we tell ourselves and the world. That would be an example of like a societal myth. You also have, like, in memory, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier with the U.S. war with Mexico. Like, how do we remember things? Not even necessarily if they're true, but how do we remember them? Like, whether something's true or false, it's important how a society remembers that thing, because it has an influence on the society, if that makes sense. So that's probably what I'm going to specialize in. Now, having said that, I need to work on learning a second language, because it's kind of necessary. And as I said before, I'm really interested in European history, so I'm probably going to try to learn German. Try being the operative word. I was once really interested in French history, and it was really tight between that and German history. And literally, I've now leaned toward German history. Well, it's not the only reason, but a big part of it is I hate how the French language is structured. I hate all the silent bullshit. You know, get your shit together, French language. At least Germany, you're pronouncing everything. When you see the letters, you can pronounce it phonetically. It's a more structured language. But I think that's enough. I think I've pretty much talked about everything. All the questions I've gotten. Cool, thanks anybody who stuck around for all of this. I'm Conquering History Games, and I've also fixed up my Windows system. Some of you on my Discord know the problems I was having with my PC. It should all be fixed up, and we'll be returning to our regularly scheduled stuff on Saturday with the Russian Republic. Having said that, anybody who watches it, I want to let you know that during my system's reboot, I forgot to save the save files. So I'm not gonna restart the Russian Republic series, but what I'm basically gonna do is I'm gonna try to play it out almost exactly the same, and hopefully it kind of works out the same. And I'll try to end it on the same day, because I think we were about to go to war or something like that. Anyway, as I said, I'm Conquering History Games, and I'll see you later. Bye.